Welcome to the Charity Connector. Hosted by Dominic Fenton and produced by Grow Radio, we give you an insight into the hearts of charities making waves in our world.
Hi everyone, welcome to our brand new podcast called the Charity Connector. I'm your host, Dom Fenton, and we have our first guest. Good morning, David. How are you?
I'm fabulous, Dom. How are you? And thank you. I didn't realise until you just said that I'm actually the very first. And it's been a long time since I was the first at anything.
No problem at all. Thank you for coming on board. I'm really excited about this whole podcast because obviously what we are looking at doing is giving charities, CICs, social enterprises the opportunity to come and just chat to me for about 20, 25 minutes, just about what they do, why they do things, the aims of setting it up in the first place, if you're a founder. And yeah, we just want to try and help as many organisations we can, just get a little bit more exposure and see what we can do. So I think that's our way of giving and going. You know, obviously I work with a number of charities anyway that will hopefully also be coming on. But yeah, it's really our way just to go, look, come on board, come and have a chat with me for 20, 25 minutes, tell people what you do, and then we can get it out and share it to the world. So, David, why don't you introduce yourself and your organisation?
Okay. Well, it's actually very subtly behind me. I'm David Baum. I'm now 65. I'm a tutu wearing runner from Hertfordshire. And we created Move for Wellness right in the middle of the start of lockdown. Now, prior to that, we had another campaign called 365 Challenge, which was all about getting people exercising. But it seemed to get lost. The message got lost in its translation, and people didn't know what it was all about. And through the networking we used to be along to 4N, a lady called Sharon, a lovely lady, said, talk to me one day. Tell me, David, what are you trying to achieve? So I told her, and she said, you mean you want people just to move? And I went, yeah, because far too many people think the idea of exercise goes back to, we won't do it because they're frightened, because they were scarred by what happened at PE in school, where they were told to jump over a vault and they couldn't even get onto the vault, let alone jump over it. And that's a personal experience. Or in the case of Mel, it was easier for her to run under high hurdles than to try and leap over them. So a lot of people, when they get older, forget that exercise and movement is actually vital for our life. I mean, I keep saying we need to raise the endorphins. Endorphins come from exercise. It's the happy pill. It's the happy medicine that we need. It's natural. So once we worked out, established actually that the message had been lost from our previous campaign, it's okay, let's start a new campaign. We'll call it Move for Wellness, because that's what we want people to do. And the original idea was just posting daily film, which we still do, of an exercise, which we asked people to do. Initially, it was for 2 minutes, 21 seconds. It's evolved all the time. And now it's basically one exercise a day, 12 reps, 3 times. So I've just done one this morning. It's called Bulgarian split squats, for instance. For that, we're using a stepper. But I get being told by people, I haven't got equipment. I don't want to go to the gym. If you've got a set of books, you can do that exercise. You put one foot on there and lunge forward. I haven't got hand weights. No, but you've got a bottle over there. You can do bicep curls using a sports bottle. Exercise doesn't mean running the marathon. Exercise means moving, getting. Now, unfortunately, we have an explosion, not just in children, but in adults, of type 2 diabetes and other allied conditions. And they've said now that, we had the 10,000 step rule, for instance. And I remember talking about this, that it's a load of rubbish. 10,000 steps. We've got to work that to be healthy. No, you don't. Because 10,000 meandering steps does bugger all for your health. It's far better to stride purposefully for 2,000 steps. That's much better for your health. But it's also about Move for Wellness. It's about trying to hopefully educate people about avoiding the rubbish food, what we call food, the fast food. I won't mention any names because I don't mention them all, and you'll get taken off air before you start if I rubbish any particular brand. But where they say there are two all beef patties, yeah, but it's not the patty that's the issue. It is the chemicals in the sauce. It is the chemicals in the buns that make you become addictive. It's a proven fact. Chris Van Tuken and Sander Van Tuken, the two BBC doctors, proved that the chemicals within fast food rewrite the brain that make you want to go have that fast food. So we sit around, whether you're working, you're at a desk. So our body shapes are changing. You suddenly feel hungry. It's about 10 o'clock. You're going to have something to eat. The sugars give you that rush, which die off. What we're trying to do with Move for Wellness, it's about getting people active and understanding that if you're hungry, go for a walk just around your office. Do a bit of exercise. You don't have to do a full hour PT session. Go for a swim. Go for a walk. Do something. It's about hopefully educating younger people to understand that I was out running the other day and I was watching across the road, there was this child just running down the hill. And his parents were behind him, and the parents were bigger than they would have been a few years ago. And they were out of breath walking down the hill, and this kid's just powering. And somewhere along the line, we have forgotten about the old adages of what we put in, we get out. So it's about, as I said, it's hopefully educating people to understand that fast food is not food. It should be a treat. It's nothing wrong with having a burger or a pizza or a chicken of some description, but it's not a food choice. And people go, well, I can't afford to cook normal food. Actually, you can. It's cheaper to buy vegetables and cook vegetables and then go out and buy a quarter pounder or whatever. So yeah, so what it's about is just hopefully getting people. We also raise money, and originally it was to help people with PTSD, because not everyone can afford to go to a counsellor. I personally had major issues at school when I was between 14 and 16, and at 39, I wanted to know what it was like to impersonate Martin McFly, how fast would I drive my car to go into a brick wall. I got help. I was very fortunate. I had private health insurance. I found the right counsellor for me, and I managed to get through that issue. But it took me many years to understand the power of positivity and negativity. And in so many businesses, people are working, they're unhappy, but they have to work because we need money. But they're usually working for people that I call them Muppets and morons, that drain all your positive energy out. You go along for an interview and you get interviewed, and they want you because of who you are. Yet very quickly they try and change who you are to suit that hole. They're taking a round peg, put into a square hole, and you don't fit. So they hammer you down a bit more. So you're wedged into this square, and then you lose all that is right about you, and that affects your mental health. Everything about life is about trying to have good mental health. We all have, some people allow the outside world. We've seen it. Greta Thunberg, her passion is about environment. She's not a scientist, but her passion has driven hundreds of thousands of men, women, and children to abandon the way they were living to live a way they think they should be living, but they don't give them any joy. They're so miserable about telling us what we need to be doing that they've forgotten the golden rule. Life's about living. We've got the eco warriors. As I said, we've got the people parading every week in London and Manchester and Birmingham about stopping a war in Gaza. They're so angry about this event that actually take a step back. Is it physically doing you good or harm shouting the odds on a Saturday afternoon? If it's making you feel good, then go ahead. But if it's actually not, then stop doing what hurts you. Because that's what you're reading. You're not hurting anybody else by screaming. You're hurting yourself. So, what can you do? Go for a walk. Walk around a forest. Walk around a park. Take time out. So, as I said, we raise money. We help people. We're not for profit at the moment. We will become a full-blown charity eventually. I've purposely stepped away from that side of what we're doing. I'm the idiot in the two, but I leave other people to put together the actual case for the Charity Commission because it's onerous and I have a propensity to screw up forms. And instead of beating myself up as I used to do about these things, I allow the people who know what they're doing to do it correctly.
Yeah.
There's too many people out there, but it's not just about PTSD, it's about physicality. We have, unfortunately, the NHS has been breaking for many years. And if someone has got, say, bulging discs and they need to have physio, they can't, their doctors can't put those. If you're lucky, you'll get 6 sessions with a physio 1 month apart. Whereas actually you need 6 sessions or 7 sessions every day for 6 or 7 days to cure that issue. So where we can, we help people by paying for that treatment. So so when I do a lot of events I do, so I'll go say at a trade show, 2-day trade show, I'll take my spinning bike. I think you've seen me doing it. I'll be on the bike for 6 hours a day. People see a silly old man with a beard on a tutu on a bike, but they'll put money in my box. And that way we can actually allow it to happen, which, funny enough, I have my
the bucket. There you go. There's the bucket.
Yeah.
What made you start it all?
It goes back many years ago. As I said, there was a thing called we'll go back further. 2013, 14, there was the Ice Bucket Challenge.
Yeah.
And we all did that. Bucket of water. And it was to raise money for the Lou Gehrig and his multi MND, whatever. And then I came across, I think on the line, it was called the 22 Press Up Challenge. And the idea was to get everybody doing 22 press ups a day for 22 days, because that supposedly signified the amount of people that took their own lives through PTSD. But what wasn't known at the time was this was purely for American service personnel. In fact, I was chatting with someone who said, "You watched that?" I said, "Yeah, why?" She said, "Because I created it. It was just someone in America created this. Her and a group of friends started doing press ups, and it caught on."
Yeah.
And you'd have these whole, 22 firemen doing 20, and it like a centipede. It was great. And my attitude was like everything I tried to analyze. And I want to know how many does that work a day? And I suddenly was shocked to realize it didn't include British troops. And that's over 10,000 ex-service personnel had been diagnosed with PTSD, combat PTSD. It didn't include the police. Any of the emergency services, you have to deal with your detritus. It's the teachers that have to deal with the unruly child in the class, so they're not allowed to do anything. It is the husband, the wife, where the other partner has an affair, or something happens to their children. I've been married now for nearly 40 years, over 40 years. But in that time, my wife's had breast cancer. We had both children in hospital with life conditionings. We've lost parents we love, people we love. We've lost a business. So for an average person, if you've set up a business and unfortunately COVID destroyed that business, that could be sufficient to trigger some sort of episode. As I said, it's all about that. So when you start looking at it, I thought originally my idea was, okay, let's do something every day for a year. Hence why I originally called it the 365 Challenge.
Yeah.
And it was to draw attention to the fact that not only PTSD doesn't just affect soldiers and force, it affects everyone. In fact, I remember doing a radio program once, and I had a phone call afterwards from a young lady who said, "Can I have PTSD without actually witnessing her?" I said, "I'm sure you can." What happened? It turns out her father had been in prison, came out, threw himself off in front of a train, which was bad enough. And then it came out actually her father was a paedophile who didn't interfere with her, but interfered with her best friend. So she had the guilt of what her father did.
Yeah.
And then the guilt of him killing himself because she didn't talk to him afterwards. And so, unfortunately, I was able to put her in touch with somebody who could help her. And there were other issues that she had. But it just told me then that there was a need to make people aware of what we're doing, what people are doing. And we all know people that unfortunately aren't able to stop themselves doing things silly.
Mm.
And unfortunately, this is often the last resort. There's unfortunately two types of people that will take that ultimate step. There are those that are calling a cry for help, that they need help, they recognize. But there are those who are control freaks. That if I'm going to show you and destroy so many other lives. How many people do we see where they're in relationships where one is a control freak and they batter the other person with they have my PT work. So many of my clients have come from unhappy relationships, and the relationships go back many years to teenage, where they were bullied in school. You're fat, you're ugly, and eventually that wears down on them, and they weigh down. And one of the great joys I have is being able to release the butterfly in them.
Mm.
Each of my clients has to say a mantra, which is whatever their name is. So in this case, my name's Don. What are you? I'm awesome. What can I achieve? Anything I want to.
Yeah.
And that is the basis of Move for Wellness. It's the basis of everything I do. We have the power inside of ourselves to take control of life. Let's make life what we want. And it's about that. I wear a tutu. Why? Because I need people to ask me why. What am I doing? Why am I wearing a tutu? I can't go up to somebody in the street and go, can I talk to you about mental health?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why are you wearing a tutu? I'm very pleased you asked me that question.
Yeah. And having seen you in action, it works. Having seen you in action, it works. So in terms of obviously where you're at now, how do you go about, obviously we're talking about raising money and things like that, and you've sort of mentioned it just briefly around the tutu and things like that. How do you raise money at the moment?
We are very fortunate. We have people who's paying to have their details on my banners when I'm at events. I've got special banners. So if we're doing a spinathon, the banner's up there. They're on our website, so they pay us a monthly fee. You can't really go out rattling your tin can everywhere these days. You're not allowed to, apart from the fact that people don't carry cash.
Mm.
So, they often all transfer money via, we use SumUp app for whatever. It's working with companies. So you go, okay, before COVID, one of the things we were doing, we were going into accountancy offices because they would say, we want our staff doing exercise. So I'll take along, I haven't got any, can't. There we go. We sell tutus.
Yeah.
You've seen an old man wearing a tutu? Buy your own tutu. So we'll sell those at events. I've got a big event coming up in the summer, 9 hours of activity, where I'll be running exercise classes, and we'll ask people to make donations then.
Yeah.
It's about putting out there, using social media, for instance, is a great one. I mean, going back, I'm doing a marathon in April, and one of the things that's still being used by people to raise money is supper quizzes. It's, all sorts of doing online things. I've had a 1970s disco, for instance. So all the music that was played was in the 1970s. We held an auction.
Yeah.
And I got told off because one of the DJ played a record that came out in 1979, and somebody was arguing it was a hit in 1980. And so we had to show the DJ proved that it actually came out that was released in October 79, but didn't hit chart until. So you get all this. And that's the way of doing it. Unfortunately, however clever the world is, and we've become clever people, raising money has never changed. I remember when I was at schoolboy, we had 2p for the NSPCC, I think it was, or no, lifeboats, and we all had to collect 2p's. And literally, there's a picture somewhere of in Victoria Park in Whetstone of this line of 2p's all the way around the park, where all the class had been collecting 2p's. So, yeah, for years, the NSPCC, Children in Need, whatever, they've all used the same process.
Yeah.
Battle your tin, do something. And if you're not prepared to do it, why should people support what you do?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree on that one. So, in terms of where you're at now, obviously you said things are going through. You've got people looking at getting you through the Charities Commission and everything else. Well, what would you say the next 3 years look like?
Can I just say one of the reasons that I've got other people doing, not me, is for twofold.
Yeah.
The first is having tried in the past to complete a form that has to be filled in a specific way or you don't get it. I refuse to do that, but I have other people doing it.
Yeah.
I'm also never going to be an officer of the charity. I'm the founder, but I will never be the officer. We all remember Camilla Patmanjara. And all the time, these things come up all the time. The founders of a charity are often not as clean as they should be. And let's face it, over the years, things happen. So I've made this point that my wife and I will never be officers of the charity we're forming, because it's got to be clean. It's got to be beyond reproach. So the first thing was actually finding the people that we knew were straight, like we are talking 100% straight and clean, that would never do anything, because that is vital, because they have the power to actually make the donations to the right people, not because it's at a whim. Yeah. So that's the first thing. So within the next 3 years, I would like us to be raising a lot of money. I'm not going to set a target, because a lot of money could be £100 or it could be £10,000 or it could be £1 million. But that we are able to help more people, that we find something, and we hear about Jenny or Johnny or whoever that needs help but can't afford it, to be able to make a donation to that person, not publicly, because we don't need that publicity to say, oh, what great guys you are, you've made this donation of X, because I think that's wrong. If they want to say afterwards, well, thanks to that's what we've done. Because I don't think, there's so many charities out there. There's so much call on people's resources. I mean, when I'm doing the marathon, as I said, next month or April, depending on when this is going out.
Yeah.
And there are 40,000 places in a ballot.
Yeah.
Very few people actually get through the ballot. You have to run for a charity. And you have to guarantee to raise anywhere between £1,500 and £5,000, because the London Marathon will take £1,000 per place.
Yeah.
It means it's constant call on people looking for sponsors. So it means you have to shout out, but I don't want to shout out, we're the great guys, we're doing this, we're better than X or Y or Z, because each charity has its own place in life. Each charity is working to help people that they recognize that need help. And I think it would be very disingenuous of me to claim that we're better than any other person or any other charity. We've chosen to support the people we support because we recognize it's important. And it doesn't matter to me whatever someone's, I mean, what I love is you get the people, you start doing things, you get questioned whether about your gender objectives or your religious belief. It's a lot of rubbish. Everything that's objectionable is negative. So one of the rules I've laid down, regardless of who is involved, is we don't care about someone's gender, real or preferred. We will not use pronouns, because it doesn't matter, because that's fine. It'll upset somebody else if you use them, if you don't use them. I don't give a monkeys about someone's religion. My concern is always, are they good people?
Yeah.
Are they in pain? If they're in pain, how can we stop that pain? How can we help them? So, I mean, it's grown. We support things like menopausal clinics, groups. It's supporting people across the spectrum. And that's where I want us to continue to do. We were very fortunate last year to be awarded a Community of the Year prize by Business Success Network. When I accepted it not as me, for me, but on behalf of the people that work with us, but also on behalf of the people that we are supporting. I may be the focal point, but it's nothing to do with me anymore.
No, I completely agree on all of that. So, where can people find you?
Oh, as I always say to people, we're shy retiring. We're across social media. It's if you look for Move for Wellness 21 on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, or Instagram or TikTok or YouTube, we're there, we're on Facebook. Look for me personally, and then you'll find me anyway. It's literally, you can find us anywhere. The best way to contact is text me or send me an email, and let's chat. If you want to get involved and help us, this is a call out for you. Yes, you can. You don't have to wear a tutu to get involved with what we're doing, but it helps.
Would you supply them a tutu?
Oh, yes, with pleasure. In fact, actually, I can't.
There you go.
I've got ones with bells. I've got ones with sequins on. Black one for when I got the war, I had to wear a black tutu with sequins on it. It's great. Power to the tutu. Tutu power. In fact, during COVID, I used to say to people, wear a tutu, you won't get COVID. Because not one tutu's ever had COVID.
Quite a true fact, though.
It's true. No tutu ever got diagnosed with COVID. And I actually, because I did catch it twice, but I got a mild dose. Tutu power.
Just held it off. David, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being my first guest on the Charity Connector. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I'm your host, Dom Fenton. This is the Charity Connector, and I will see you soon. Take care now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.